New tonight, law enforcers across Western New York continue to crack down on drunk driving. Statistics have improved over the years, but lives are still being lost. And News 4's Dave Graber introduces us to a local woman who lost her husband to a driver on her third offense.
He goes, "I'm not going to ride at night. There's too many drunks on the road. I don't want to be on the road with the drunks." So at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday, he goes out for a ride and gets killed by a drunk.
These days, Christine Barton often sits in the shadow of her husband's urn, wondering why fate chose her family, why her sons no longer have their father.
He was amazing. He was my best friend and my partner, and he was a great dad, and there wasn't anything he couldn't do.
Why feeling like life was at its best was so fleeting.
I'm exactly where I want to be. I'm truly happy.
Christopher Barton was less than 2 miles from his home, sitting at a red light on his Harley at this intersection on October 10th, when Jennifer Sage plowed into him from behind. Sage was so drunk,
They told me that she blew a .26.
that she never even hit her brakes. Chris died instantly.
All of a sudden, there was somebody trying to get in the front door. And I came out from the kitchen, and I saw the police officers and the priest. And they didn't even have to say anything because I could tell.
Sage admitted she was drunk that Saturday afternoon and that she's an alcoholic. It was her third offense. She told the court she didn't know why she was that drunk so early on a Saturday.
She had 2 chances already to turn it around and make things right before this happened. And now we're paying the price.
Sage will spend the next 4 to 12 years in prison. Since her husband's death, Christine has dedicated much of her time to researching DWI recidivism in Western New York. But it's not as prevalent as it may seem. In fact, the trends of repeat drunk driving offenses, which often result in felonies across much of Western New York and the state, are on the decline.
The good news is that there's a lot less drinking and driving going on than there used to be.
John Sullivan is Erie's Stop DWI coordinator. In his 25 years in the post, he's witnessed the trends.
Over time, the society's opinion of drinking drivers has changed, and it's no longer something that people talk about around the water cooler. There's a stigma associated with it. It's an irresponsible act, and most people think less of a person who doesn't.
Niagara County has experienced the same. Of the more than 650 DWI arrests in 2013, it wasn't the first time for more than 7% of drivers. It's a number that had been cut in half by last year.
We attribute that to good enforcement efforts by not just the Niagara County Sheriff's Office, but the law enforcement agencies across Niagara County that we partner with as a collaborative approach to step up enforcement.
Numbers aside, Western New Yorkers are going to continue to drink, and some of them will make the choice to get behind the wheel. And although only a fraction of crashes involving alcohol lead to loss of life, every one of them strips a local family, a wife, a son, with an unfillable void.
I have to go through every single minute of every single day, and half of me is gone. My kids lost their father, and I'm not the same person that I was. It was stolen because someone couldn't deal with their problems. Well, guess what? Now I have problems.
Wow. Heart really, really goes out to her and this family. Now, but what jumps out at me here, Dave, from what you showed us is the rates for repeat offenders are going down.
They actually are. Niagara County is really a good example, and kind of a good example for the rest of Western New York. And while those numbers are going down, the arrest numbers, the actual arrest numbers of people with DWIs for their first time, are going up. And there are a number of reasons for that, as you heard them talk. There is enforcement. There are more people out on the road. Police, I think, are doing a better job of getting those drivers off the road.
And also, Mr. Sullivan talked about the stigma. There is a stigma associated with it now that there wasn't 10 years ago.
That is a very big factor, and one that I think law enforcement will continue to play on to get people off. It's no longer funny. It's no longer something you talk about when you're out there. It's a very serious matter, and as you just saw there, again, thanks so much to the Barton family for their strength. It can rip people apart, that decision.
Thank her for that. Thank you, Dave.